summer-like weather, and we still haven't even hit Mother's Day. It's the Hyundai leadoff man on WGN Sports from beautiful Wrigley Field. The Cubs hosting the Brewers as the Cubs wrap up this homestand. Great to have you with us. Alongside Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper. The Cubs a 1-0 winner on Friday. 6-1 Milwaukee yesterday. The Cubs batters struck out 18 times. Young hitters are going to do that every once in a while, but a chance to win this series today.
Yeah, held to just one run in each of the last 3 games. Need to get a little something going offensively. Mike Fiers had 12 of those 18 strikeouts yesterday, and the Cub hitters just do not profile well against him with that elevated fastball. Different matchup today with a sinker baller on the mound.
Jimmy Nelson, the right-hander for the Brewers. Jason Hamill will go for the Cubs, and we'll talk with rookie Addison Russell when we come back. By your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. First question is, how you feeling today after that collision? That was kind of scary watching from upstairs.
I feel good. Really, it was just kind of a all-out play. It was do or die. We both tried to execute the play, and we ended up colliding, but I slid on my neck, but everything's good.
That's one of those plays where you're kind of waiting to hear I got it, but I don't know if you ever heard it, right?
No, no. I think that we were so into the play. Last second, I saw Rizzo's face, and that's the reason why I ducked my head, and I skimmed my head on the ground pretty hard. But I'm pretty happy about me ducking my head, because I think if I didn't, I think that we would have collided heads.
So let's talk about some positive stuff. Your first home run the other day, a couple of game-winning RBIs on the homestand. Feels like you're getting comfortable here at this level.
Yeah, I'm sinking my feet in there. I'm seeing more pitches. I'm seeing more pitchers. I'm getting more playing time at second. I'm just becoming more familiar with second base, and things are going good right now, and hopefully I'll improve as the games go on.
What's been the biggest issue for you making that transition to the other side of the diamond?
Just mainly, I'd say probably the small jobs, but they're actually big, like backing up first base, knowing my cutoff, other places where I need to be, small things like that actually transition to big things for the game.
Also, the idea of having a little more time on a ground ball probably is jarring at first, right? Because it's short. Everything you get, you pretty much have to get rid of it. But I've noticed you've at times maybe played a little deeper to give yourself a little more time.
Yeah, that's something that I haven't been familiar with, is having so much time on the right side of the bag. So now I could just go into my daily routines and take my ground balls, and then after that, just kind of like play catch with it, at second base. So I'm getting familiar with that as well.
What's the biggest adjustment now on the offensive side of things? What I hear from guys about the minor leagues is you can see a really good curveball or a good slider or a good fastball, but to see it all in the same package and the same pitcher and the same at bat is what the difference is from that level to this level.
That is true. All the starters, they have good stuff. If they don't, they probably have 2 good pitches. If they don't have 2 good pitches, then they probably have 3. It's more accurate, and they don't try to pitch around. They try to get you out. Well, for me, that's probably about the biggest thing.
And last year you get traded from Oakland. I know you've talked about this before, but that's a little jarring as well, right? When you get dealt, because your first thought is probably, what did I do wrong? But in the end, you're in the big leagues playing here at Wrigley Field with the Chicago Cubs, so it all ended up pretty good.
Yeah, whenever I got traded, it was just really shocking. I did my best to calm my nerves. I talked to my mom and dad, and they told me everything's gonna be all right. And I talked to a couple of managers, and they said they took it as the Cubs, they wanted you, so they got you. And I'm here today, so I'm really not complaining.
So what did you know about the Cubs? What did you follow anybody with the Cubs? Did you have a player you liked before you got traded here, and the history of the organization?
Yeah, of course the history, and then also going through high school ball and amateur ball. There's a few prospects in this organization that I've been fortunate enough to play with.
So the only thing Joe Madden, your manager, said, he had nothing for you when he sent you out. He told the media that it's rare to have a kid who I send back to AAA and say just keep doing what you're doing. Is there anything in particular you did work on aside from making the transition to second base? I mean, he said nutrition, which is always important, but he said, I got nothing for you other than that.
Yeah, just all around the whole game. Maybe that day if I don't play, I just try and pick out some small things to learn that day. This is a learning game. I don't think that you could ever have enough knowledge about baseball. So I'm just going to try and pick up the little things, and hopefully they turn into big things, and just go about my business the right way.
And the day you got called up, what was that moment like for you?
That was awesome. I was in my hotel room. It was probably like 10:30, and Marty Peavy, he calls me up and said, "Hey man, this is the call. Congratulations!" And called my dad, called my mom, called my family, and they're all excited. And having them here for my debut here in Chicago was awesome as well.
Great to have you here as a Chicago Cub. Glad you're feeling better after yesterday, and keep it going.
Thank you.
Brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. It's a Sunday, so God bless America. Before our national anthem being performed today by Stolen Silver.
And now please remain standing and join Stolen Silver as they honor our nation with God Bless America, followed by our national anthem.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide before. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red-glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That's how JD and I like to sing it in the booth. They should mic us sometime. Cubs baseball is next. A gorgeous day at the ballpark as the Cubs wrap up this homestand, trying to make it a 4-2 week here at Wrigley Field. Brewers and Cubs coming up in a few minutes. And let's get into the starting matchup today. Jimmy Nelson has not beaten the Cubs. Got off to a really good start this year. Was not very good his last time out. Hamill 5-0 lifetime against Milwaukee, coming off one of his best starts as a Chicago Cub. We'll have the lineups and all the action coming up next. Brewers and Cubs in the series finale. Ball is brought to you by Budweiser, designated driver, and enjoy the great times. Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer. Napa, home of Napa know-how. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Subway, make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Cubs baseball in high definition on WGN is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Milwaukee Brewers starting lineup. They're looking for their first winning streak of the season. That's right. They have not won 2 in a row, but coming off a 6-1 victory yesterday. Carlos Gomez came off the DL yesterday. Gene Segura had 4 hits. Ryan Braun, the game-winning home run in the first inning. Adam Lind, pretty good numbers against Jason Hamill. Aramis Ramirez missed the first 2 games with tightness in his hamstring. Chris Davis in left. Elian Herrera, switch hitting second baseman. And the battery goes 8 and 9. Maldonado and Nelson.
Cubs defensively, very similar to yesterday. The one difference being that Chris Coughlin is back in left field. Kristen Orfia got the start yesterday, so it's Fowler, Soler, center and right. Bryant Castro, Russell Rizzo around the horn. Miguel Montero behind the plate for Jason Hamill. If you're into big right-handers, today's your day. A couple of 6'6" righties working today for the Cubs. It's Hamill, who's off to a good start, 2-1 with a .355 earned run average. He's made 4 starts and just was outstanding last time out. And if you look at that stat line, what really grabs your attention, down there near the bottom, where on the eye chart you would see FELOPZD, he's got 1 walk and 23 strikeouts. That's really outstanding.
The crew chief Eric Cooper today working home plate. Mark Carlson Tom Woodring and Ryan Blackney around the bases. So here we go. Hamill to Gomez. A huge swing and a miss with the wind blowing straight out.
Doesn't let that first one go by all that often.
Hi, everybody.
Looking stylish.
Found these in the booth. I don't know who they belong to, but yeah.
They want a peanut? We got peanuts up here.
Sure, I'm in.
Some peanuts. It's a beautiful day for a ball game. We'll get some hot dogs going up here.
Good baseball fair.
Does this shirt make me look fat? I feel like I'm a little fat.
No.
I think it's that camera angle.
It looks good.
All right, enough buffoonery.
Okay. Enough fun. We're calling baseball. This is rocket science. The series here. 1-2. Pitch was up, but thankfully Gomez hit it on the ground as short for the out. You don't want to live up there today for Jason Hamill.
No, sir, you do not. Why are we having so much fun? Because it's a beautiful day at the ballpark. Let's take a look at our Gander Mountain game time weather. 78 degrees, breezy, blowing out. That could be an issue. A little muggy today. But all in all, a very good day for baseball. Feels like baseball weather.
Gene Segura coming in at 298. A 4-hit performance on Saturday, including a triple, 2 RBIs, stole a base, scored a run. Dismal start for Milwaukee, 6-18. Cubs are 13-9. 3.5 though behind the surging Cardinals, who look for their 6th in a row today. St. Louis at 17-6. More on Cubs' upcoming opponent a little later. Another ground ball to Castro. 2 outs.
Hamill coming off an outstanding start, one of the best we've seen from Jason Hamill in his time with the Cubs. 8 innings of shutout baseball against the Pirates. He allowed 4 hits, didn't walk anybody, struck out 7. And in his career, he has dominated the Brewers 5-0 with a 1.85 ERA in 6 starts, including 2 games last year in which he went 7 innings of shutout baseball both times. Those games were both up in Milwaukee.
Ryan Braun, 2-run homer yesterday, his 4th homer his last 4 games.
And if you read today's quotes from Jake Arrieta about the ball game yesterday, he said he let Braun get extended. As you see there, fastball out over the plate, up a little bit. Very first pitch from Hamill, they tried to crowd him.
Popped him up. Hamill looking for some help. He points at his third baseman, Chris Bryant, and the inning is over. Brewers didn't hit one out of the infield. Cubs coming up. Fair now at Southwest.com. Got to get this offense going. 3 runs combined in the last 3 games. Fowler, Soler will swap spots again today. Rizzo, Bryant, Montero the catcher. Starlin Castro at short. Chris Coughlin good numbers against Jimmy Nelson. Jason Hamill off to a great start at the plate. And Addison Russell, our leadoff man guest, will hit ninth.
Let's see who's doing what for the Brewers today defensively. Davis, Gomez, Braun, left, center, right. Aramis Ramirez back in there. He's played perilous baseball so far this year. Segura's had some throwing issues. Herrera's the second baseman. Lynn, the first sacker. Martin Maldonado does the catching for 25-year-old right-hander Jimmy Nelson. 6'6", 245, 1-2 with a 4.03 through 4 starts.
Last year was their top prospect, according to Baseball America. And he was terrific in his first 3 starts. Here in 2015, he had a 1.35 ERA, but could not get out of the 3rd inning in Cincinnati in his last start. Gave up 7 runs, could not find the strike zone. He walked 5 and only struck out 1.
Yeah, and that was coming off his previous start was against the Reds as well, and in that ball game he went 8 innings of 3-hit 1-run baseball. So he figured them out the first time. They got revenge the next time. The challenge for the Cub hitters, really completely different from the ball game yesterday, where Fiers, who likes to elevate the fastball, they had to get him down. Nelson throws a lot of sinkers. You got to try to get that ball up against him.
Didn't mean to. Count still 0-2. Nelson was born in Oregon. Lives in Florida. Niceville, where he went to high school.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Nelson sounds like a good All-American kid. Should have grown up in Niceville. He's got a nice breaking ball. He's added the curveball. He was fastball, slider, changeup before. Now he's added the curveball, and it's been a good pitch for him. Got good life on the fastball. He can get to 96.
He strikes out Dexter Fowler. This was a problem yesterday. Brewers pitching racked up 18 strikeouts against this Cubs offense. That tied a franchise record. Remember, Ben Sheets had an 18 strikeout game back in 2004 against Atlanta. That's a 9-inning record. So here's Soler, who was in the leadoff spot yesterday, reached twice on a single and a walk.
Yeah, so I think, obviously you have to have a plan when you go to home plate. The great Babe Ruth said, "Don't fear striking out." The Cubs took that to heart yesterday, but I think that, now just that first good fastball, if he elevates it, gets it up above the knees, go ahead and take a whack at it.
They seem to handcuff Maldonado a bit. 1-1.
Sometimes strikeouts are a byproduct of a patient approach, and the Cubs have been a very patient team. They've worked a lot of walks. And yesterday they didn't do a whole lot of that either.
Sinker up and in on Soler. It's 2-1. Brewers have not won a series in a while. 7 series defeats this season and 11 straight losses dating back to last year. That's a gapper, and it's going to go all the way to the wall for Soler. He's got a double.
1 out of 3 yesterday, plus a walk. Joe Madden was impressed with his at-bats. He was in the leadoff spot yesterday. Joe just wanted to change the job description a little bit for Soler, so let him concentrate on trying to get on base. That one was loud. He really got on the backside of that one.
We'll bring up Anthony Rizzo. Homered yesterday for the only Cubs run. The other run they scored in this series was Addison Russell's game winner on Friday in a 1-0 victory.
One time the Cubs were able to get on top of that, a high fastball from Fiers yesterday.
That's a pretty impressive list. Brewers not putting on the big pull shift on the infield. That runner at second. Segura kind of shaded up the middle, but many times we see that shortstop completely on the other side of second base.
Yeah, and I think Anthony's hit a lot of balls back through the middle of the diamond with a man in scoring position. Ron Renicky doesn't want to give up a run, by opening up too big of a hole in the middle of the diamond.
A two bouncer to Herrera for out number 2. Soler now at third.
With Soler on second base there, Ramirez had to stay somewhat close to third. That obviously factors into Renicky's positioning as well.
Bring up Chris Bryant coming off a tough day. Career high 4 strikeouts in all of his at bats. Trying to get out of about a week-long slump. 3 for his last 21. And he bats with Soler at third and 2 outs. Wilson stays in the stretch and a swing and a miss.
Yesterday he saw breaking balls early and then elevated fastballs. Nelson, a sinker baller, but he does have enough giddy up to beat you upstairs.
In the air. Playable for Gomez, and that'll end the inning. So Soler stranded at third, and we're scoreless after 1.
Infinity. Every day they're out there grinding away. They're grinding out there at bats. Working hard to get this ballpark fully up to speed. Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Left field could be done for the next homestand.
Yep, pretty soon. In right field. After that, Adam Lind retired as Coghlan makes the catch. That Lind pushing that ball almost to straightaway center field, but the left fielder making the play.
Hitting next third baseman.
Yeah, looking really good. The next homestand features the Mets and the Pirates. Starting a week from tomorrow. There's former Cub Aramis Ramirez. This will be his final season. drives that ball out into deep left center, and it's going to go. Line shot homer for Ramirez. He's hit a few of those in this ballpark over the years. And that is a milestone home run for Ramirez. That's the 372nd of his career, but it's number 368 as a third baseman. So that puts him in the top 5. He's tied now with Greg Nettles on the all-time home run list among third basemen for number 5.
And no surprise to see him attacking first pitch either. He does that quite frequently. Hamill's fastball command was outstanding in his last start. He's let a couple get away from him. He actually threw Braun a fastball out over the plate. And fortunately for him, he popped it up, but he didn't get away with it with Ramirez.
As a starter today, JD, you don't ever want to give up home runs, but you tell yourself, right, don't give up 2- and 3-run homers. And the one walk coming in, that should bode well for Jason.
Yeah, it's one of those days where you really focus on, tighten it up defensively. No free passes.
Chris Davis, look out. Breaking ball got away from Hamill.
I think at the end of the day, most starting pitchers, when they take the mound, they're aware of the conditions, but they just kind of go out and do what they normally do. Right now Hamill a little bit out of sync. There you go. Finish that pitch.
Fouled out of play. So Hamill with the 23 strikeouts and 1 walk. You'd think that's the best ratio in all of baseball. It's not. Bartolo Colon has walked 1. He has struck out 25. Swing and a miss. There's number 24 on the year for Hamill. Hey, Cub fans, let's go. The Cubs are making some noise this year. You don't want to miss the excitement here at Wrigley Field, and the Cubs do return to action at home on Monday, May 11th. It's a 7-gamer, Mets and Pirates. Tickets are still available for every game. Get your seats now at Cubs.com. The National League East leading New York Mets starting the day with a 3.5-game edge over Miami.
They've cooled off some after that great start. 7 games above 500.
Leon Herrera trying to snap an 0 for 12. Got off to a hot start at AAA before he was brought up on April 21st to replace the injured Scooter Gennett on the active roster. Brewers AAA affiliates now in Colorado Springs. We had some affiliate juggling at just about every level this past offseason, including 3 Cubs Class A affiliates.
Where were the Brewers AAA club?
I want to say Nashville.
Life got a lot better for their hitters, the AAA hitters, with that move. Fastball, curve, slider change for Hamill. Made good use of his curveball last time out. Doesn't throw a lot of them. Leans heavily on that sinker slider combination. Both these tall right-handers, it's about angles, getting on top of the ball, driving down around the knees.
It's as good as we've seen Hamill as a Cub going back to last year in the first half. Lined, and that one scooped by Addison Russell to end the inning. Ramirez with a homer. It's 1-0 Milwaukee. Chris Coghlan, we mentioned, good success against Jimmy Nelson. We'll see him in the bottom of the inning.
Sweet home Chicago.
Baseball blog at WGNTV.com. Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. We missed our leadoff man conversation with Addison Russell. Catch it on the blog as Miguel Montero greets Jimmy Nelson with a leadoff single. So he stays hot. He is now 8 for his last 17.
Like he was looking for that curveball.
Bring up Starlin Castro. Yesterday, only the 5th hitless game for him out of the first 22 contests this season.
Well, you got a ground ball pitcher and a ground ball hitter. See if Joe Madden thinks about playing a little hit and run here.
Starlin's got it all working. Compression sleeve, right arm, the batting gloves.
Got the pocket out. Got to shake it up a little bit when you come off an offer. He doesn't have many of those.
It's 2-1.
Action pitch.
Montero not running, and it's now 3-1.
So he's been elevating some fastballs here today too. I don't know if it's by design because of what he saw yesterday from these Cub hitters, or if he's just rushing his delivery a little bit. Talking about sending Montero here. The downside is if you get a swing and miss from Castro, Montero's toast.
It's Eric Cooper back of the plate today.
shaking
to
it
lose
off. No,
another
good.
umpire. We already lost a couple from this crew.
It's like taking a jab from Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah. Pulled foul on the ground. So yeah, we hope Quinn Walcott and Gary Cederstrom are doing all right. We heard a little under the weather. That's why we missed these last 2 games. Umpires don't really have an official DL, do they?
Appendicitis, I think. Or Quinn Walcott.
Yeah, it's not good. Foot issue for Gary Cederstrom.
Players have been known to get hit by the day game flu here in Chicago from time to time.
Montero takes off. Ball 4 to Castro. Montero with an aggressive turn around second.
Fans, if you want to manage the game along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape. They have pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer.
Happy birthday wishes, number 38, to our good friend Ryan Dempster. Member of the Cubs front office. Happy birthday to Win Griffiths. Our fine cameraman. Where's Win today? Is he
took
with
the
us
day
in the
off for
booth?
his birthday.
Oh, he's off?
Yeah, he's going for a bike ride and a picnic, he told me.
It says something about us that he didn't want to spend his birthday with us. I'm a little hurt. But good for him.
Where would you rather be?
Coughlin in the air to right. Braun right at the edge of the track is going to make the catch. Montero will tag, however, and he's now at third with only 1 out. Castro stays at first. It's interesting. Coughlin came in hitting $174 over his last 16 games, but JD, I looked his batting average on balls in play, .219, so he's squared up some balls and hasn't been rewarded.
Well, he had that one game here earlier on the homestand where he hit 3 deep drives to left field that on a day like today are probably home runs, and a line out double play is next at bat. So you just tell yourself, and he's been around a while now, don't panic, just keep having good at bats, make sure you're swinging at good pitches.
See if Hamill can keep up his solid work at the plate. Just don't hit into a double play.
Yeah, put the bunt on here. It's even better.
Gomez trying to get behind it. Montero tagging from third, and Gomez will just toss it back towards second base, and Hamill with a sacrifice fly to tie it at 1. Nicely done.
Coughlin not credited with a sacrifice, of course, but his fly ball allowed Montero to move to third. Hamill gets him home, his first RBI of the year, to go with that robust .364 batting average.
You think official scorers should have just a little leeway with regard to ground balls and fly balls to the right side with nobody out, if they were to deem that it was intentional, because they do have some discretion with sack bunts.
Yeah, it's just it's tougher to read, I think, but it is there's a bit of unfairness to it, I guess you could say.
2 outs in the inning, and ball 1 on Addison Russell. There's our selfie after our interview today, and you can tweet us your Cubs selfies at #WGNCubs, featuring the music of the Replacements on our fan cam later. The 1-0. Look out, that goes flying as Fowler had to duck out of the way. It's not the first time that's happened.
No, it's at least the third time. It's just the nature of his approach at the plate. Obviously, a loose grip on the bat. Shades of Dave Winfield.
The best bat tosser was Jeremy Burnitz. He let one fly down the first base line about once every 2 games. Wild swing.
He did not get cheated.
Top hand would come off. Give a shout out to Eddie Olczyk watching us today, back from the Kentucky Derby and ready for Game 2 tonight down at the United Center. Wild and Blackhawks.
He's a busy man these days.
He is. I didn't ask him if he was able to go watch the fight too.
Yeah, he's like an international man of mysteries. You know, these big events. I don't know if his pick won. Did he pick? Was it American Pharoah that won the race? Won the Derby?
The answer, I'm told, is yes. Bloop single Russell. 6-game hitting streak. Castro to third.
Well, Brewers did a fair bit of that in the ball game yesterday, so Russell gets a little revenge. Bloop base hit off Nelson. Look at the movement, action inside on the hands of Russell. He gets the hands pulled in enough to push that one the other way. See if Fowler could take advantage.
Feels like early in the Pittsburgh series, all the 2-out rallies we have not seen here the last couple of days for this offense. Swing and a miss by Fowler. Congrats to Amanda Levine and Alexandria Gunn, recent graduates of Judson University. Yeah, we're getting to that point where end of the school year is near. Ground ball to Herrera. Easy play to end the inning. Cubs tie it. Sac fly by the pitcher Hamill. It's 1-1 after 2.
That one right there, that's for you and you alone.
1-1. Breaking ball strike on Martin Maldonado. Jonathan Lucroy, he's on the DL with a foot injury. Bounce to Bryant, who's playing in.
I'm not sure if that's exactly where Jason Hamill wanted to throw that fastball. He's kind of gotten a little bit of a plan B here. Started Maldonado with that first pitch curveball. You see more of that until he starts to get locked in with that release point on the heater.
Yeah, so I didn't see anything about the fight. Just heard about it today. Didn't watch the Derby. I feel like a bad sports fan.
No.
But I called a baseball game yesterday. I kind of got away from it last night.
So now I think they should have Pacquiao and Mayweather riding in the Preakness. Because they're not big guys. These horses can handle that.
1-1 on Nelson. 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts this year. I didn't even watch hockey last night.
Wow, that's cold turkey for you, my friend.
That's how much I unplugged.
Stepped away.
And you know why I didn't watch hockey? There wasn't any. There was only a matinee.
It wasn't the prettiest of swings, Mr. Nelson. I got home in time to catch the Derby, but I didn't really do any homework. I didn't read much about it. I wasn't really aware of the quality of the horses.
Nelson held up on a tough breaking ball, 3-2.
Oh my.
And a base hit. And that one's going to roll for a while. Nelson has his second career double. He's now 4 out of 30 as a big leaguer.
He lulled Jason Hamill to sleep, I think, with that earlier swing. He looked like a baby giraffe running around first base.
Is it safe to say Jason has not hit his spots here the first time through the order? I feel like he's missed a lot.
Nelson, I know that base is there somewhere. Yeah, it's ironic because his fastball command last time was as good as I've ever seen him. Right now, he's kind of adrift at sea in terms of fastball command, and that's why he feels more comfortable throwing that first pitch breaker, whether it's a little slider or the curveball. He's having a hard time driving that fastball down and away to these right-handed hitters.
That ball's going to get in. Nelson is going to be sent by Ed Cedar. Here comes the throw toward the plate, and it gets by Montero. Gomez on his way to third, and Hamill couldn't find the ball. And it's 2-1 Milwaukee. Well, they had a shot at Nelson. I was a little surprised Ed Cedar sent him. But it worked out.
Yeah, this is a bit of a gamble with only 1 out in the inning, running on Jorge Soler with your pitcher. Nelson he's not Travis Wood. You treat like a position player in these situations. Tough hop for Montero to handle. He's got to be mindful of where the base runner is, trying to hold his ground so he can make the catch and then apply a tag. So Gomez gets tremendous air on that head first dive.
Pete Rose-like. Corner men in. Middle guys are back. I'm guessing RBI single, E9.
Yeah, second base on the throw and then third base on an error charge to Soler. Those are always tough errors for the outfielder, but you have to account for that extra base gained.
If they're giving the error to Montero, they'll change that, right?
Yes.
But they can't give it to the catcher on that throw. Well, it can, but
you never see it.
All right, it was on the throw. 2 strikes. Hamill would love a strikeout here. Try to avoid some contact and keep Gomez at third. And he strikes him out. 2 away. Check out the Legends Suite, located on the Nuveen Investments Suite level. Watch the game with Cubs alums. Listen to classic baseball stories with a luxury food and beverage package and a unique gift for each guest. The Legends Suite is the most exclusive way to watch a Cubs game. For more information, go to Cubs.com/suites. SUITES Suites.
I'm sure you can get some SWEETS in there as well.
Yeah. Braun, first pitch swinging. Fowler in center, and the inning is over. Brewers retake the lead. It's 2-1. Schedule 4 in a row coming up in St. Louis, and we're back with you on WGN on a Tuesday night, and then we will be in Milwaukee next weekend as well. We'll have the game a week from today on WGN. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Strike called on Soler. One more look at the throw here to the plate. As Montero was anticipating a little bit of a shorter hop.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that anybody actually has to be charged with an error there. That's just a tough play all the way around. Normally when that ball gets through, it's charged to the guy who made the throw.
Yeah, at the moment, it is Montero. But, I'm leaving E9.
And ironically, had Jason Hamill been able to pick that ball up cleanly backing up, he would have had a good shot at Gomez at third base.
Soler, Rizzo, and Bryant in this third inning. Chased a bad one in the dirt. His major league leading 37th strikeout. We did not see him do this very often in spring training.
A little more anxiety when you turn on the bright lights, you start playing games for real, and you're facing pitchers who are a little bit more committed in the regular season than they are in spring training, and then they start to learn you too as a hitter. they find a little bit of a weakness, they're going to attack it.
We've talked about Anthony Rizzo getting hit by pitches 8 times in the first 21 games. This is game 23, but he was hit Friday in the 21st game. That is really rare. Since 1914, you go back the last century plus, only 2 players in the game have been hit in more games within their first 21 to start a season. Shin-Soo Choo got hit 9 times in his first 21 games. 2 years ago, the Reds, Chase Utley, 8 times in the first 21 games for the Phillies in 07. So it's quite a pace. And as long as he stays right on top of the plate, I think that'll continue.
Yeah, because not only is he right on top of the plate, but he's a very dangerous hitter, and he really gives the pitchers nowhere to go. Covers that outside part so well. I think if you're Anthony, say that's fine. I'll take my lumps as long as it's not up around my head. Just 2 things that hitters really take issue with: the up and in around the coconut, and then the one where you're behind in the count and you're going to pitch around him anyway, so you just drill him in the ribs. That would be the other thing that would get his attention.
Bounced up the middle and slowed down. What a play by Gene Segura. Wow. It looked like he was just going to be able to knock it down, but he actually flagged it down and made the play.
That was an incredible play by Gene Segura. And we mentioned at the outset that he's made 7 errors. He's had issues throwing. And that's showing great range here and tremendous glove work and a little help on the other end by Adam Lynn. Tough break for Rizzo. Beautiful play by Segura.
That's an old Jerry Coleman. Oh, doctor. Put a star on that one. That's as good as it gets. Bryant with 2 outs, nobody on. Swing and a miss. Overcast skies, the lights are on. Warm day here at the ballpark. It's all about the wind. It's blowing toward the lake, not off the lake. Ryan Braun in right to end the inning. After 3 from Wrigley in the rubber match. Brewers 2, Cubs 1. the catcher's mitt, but it's got that look. Always great to see the kids out here enjoying a ball game. And a lot of kids will be running the bases after the game, assuming the weather holds up. 2-0 on Adam Lind. Chip Marshall and his family from Glenview. Chip, Nora, Grace, and Bridget are here celebrating Chip's 59th birthday.
Happy birthday, Chip.
They want to say hi to their family and friends watching in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. 3-1.
Frankie Valli's birthday today, too. He's 81.
81. Broken bat. Roller, that's fair. Past a diving Rizzo. Soler will pick it up. And Lynn will stand at second with a double.
The Brewers continue to apply pressure here. It was a one-out double from Nelson last inning that led to their second run. Now Lynn on 3-1. It's in on him a little bit, but he was able to keep it fair right down the first base line. So now Hamill has to pitch around this leadoff two-bagger.
Ramirez jumped all over one, lined it into the fanless bleachers in left center his first at bat. Gave the Brewers the lead.
Take a look at our Mazda replay cam. There it was, fastball belly button high out over the plate. Mazda, conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way.
Keep this name in mind. Anthony Varvaro, former Mariner, Brave, and Red Sox. The Cubs have claimed him off waivers from Boston. And to make room for him on the 40-man roster, left-hander Joseph Ortiz designated for assignment. So there you have it. Ramos tying Greg Nettles to get into the top 5. He and Adrian Beltre, the two active members of that leaderboard. Barbaro made 9 appearances for the Red Sox before he was DFA'd on April 29th.
There's a cross-up right there. There's Anthony Varvaro. Saw him a little bit with the Braves.
Spelled backwards, it's Orev Rev.
See Montero expecting one thing, expecting a breaking ball or maybe a runner the other way, but whatever it was, it fooled him, and he wanted to talk to Jason about it. So they're on the same page with the man on second base.
Count holding.
So that list of third basemen that Ramirez was grouped with there: Schmidt, Hall of Famer; Eddie Matthews, Hall of Famer; Chipper Jones, he'll be a Hall of Famer, right?
Yep.
Adrian Beltre, most expect him to be a Hall of Famer. Yep. Don't really hear Aramis as a Hall of Famer. Don't hear that conversation very much. All really, really good.
There's a Hall of Famer for his broadcasting. Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker. Always good to see Uke back here at Wrigley Field reminiscing today. I asked him how much of his catching equipment he still owns. Hit well the other way. Soler on the move, and he's got it on the warning track. That'll get Lind to third with 1 out. Yeah, he said he actually gave away a lot of his old catcher's equipment. We were talking about the old catcher's mitts, the pancake mitts. Catchers back in the day actually had to catch two-handed.
Wasn't it Johnny Bench that popularized the one-handed method? So it just kind of sticks in my head for some reason.
Randy Hundley, I think, part of that too. And talking just about the equipment, he said you had no protection on your knees. It's going to get Lind in most likely as Fowler makes a catch. Davis with a sac fly to make it 3-1. Was it Steve Yeager who first wore the
flap? Yeah,
the flap to protect your neck,
because he'd gotten a splinter in the neck on a foul ball. You know, and you go way back into the history of the game. They didn't wear masks. They didn't wear gloves. The catcher stood way back and played the ball on a bounce. And that's going into the way back machine when the game looked very different.
Luke has great stories about his relationship with the umpires. Much different back in the day. Jocko Conlon. So he didn't even look back. There was a pitch, and he said, I didn't even look back at Conlon. I said, that's not a strike. Conlon said, the next one is too. Swing and a miss.
There would be a grievance file, man.
Punched into center for a base hit. So Herrera aboard with 2 outs. We'll step aside and see what's coming up on WGN.
Now batting center, Martino Donato.
Along with Jim DeShays and our WGN crew, Len Casper at beautiful Wrigley Field, wrapping up this homestand today. Trying to beat Milwaukee 2 out of 3, but trailing right now 3-1 in the 4th inning.
And for Jason Hamill today, it's just a matter of survival. Stay away from the big inning.
Runner goes, pitches a strike. Montero's throw right on the money, out. Herrera nailed. Woo. Bullet by Montero helping out his pitcher. 3-1. Official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
The guy that makes the great throw always gets to lead off the next inning.
For sure in this case. Montero with caught stealing of Herrera. Facing Nelson here. 3-1 Milwaukee in the fourth. Nelson trying to beat the Cubs for the first time.
Cubs have not been very proficient at shutting down the running game. It's mostly on the pitchers. Montero has been really good in that regard throughout his career, as has David Ross. Castillo's a good thrower. And given a chance, Montero proves that he can nail you. That was a great throw.
Nelson, a product of the University of Alabama. Second round pick in 2010. As we mentioned earlier, he was regarded as the Brewers' top organizational prospect going into last season. Montero fouls.
Hey, great numbers last year at AAA Nashville, 10-2 with a 1.46 ERA. Made 12 starts and a couple of relief appearances for the big club. He was 2-9 with an ERA just below 5.
Made his major league debut against the Cubs. 2 scoreless innings on September 6th of 2013. And to play third base side. Astros leading the Mariners 6-1 in the bottom of the fourth. The Astros trying to make it 10 straight wins. Already with a 6-game lead in the American League West. Only team in that division above 500. Montero draws the walk. As we take a look around baseball, first to third, Jose Altuve, batting champ last year, hitting .371. And a rough go for the Phillies as of late, and the Marlins are back to 500, 12-12 starting play today. And the Phillies, of course, lead late, 5-2 in the 8th.
Phils do, yeah. Phillies have the worst run differential in baseball. D. Gordon's been a heck of an acquisition for the Fish.
A dismal week for the White Sox, and they're getting trounced in the 4th inning in Minnesota. Twins going for the 4-game sweep, leading 7-0. Foul tip, strike 2 on Castro. John Danks got knocked out in the 3rd inning. 7 runs, 6 earned.
Bring your grip to Wrigley Field and enjoy special perks only available inside the ballpark. The Cubs offer special ticket packages for groups of 15 or more. Visit Cubs.com/groups.
Now 1-2.
So a battle of wills here as Nelson's trying to coax the ground ball. Potential double play from Castro. Castro looking for something he can get airborne.
Double play ball. Segura starts it. Close at first, but they got him. 6-4 to 3. You mentioned it. Not a great matchup for Starlin today in that spot.
Yeah, it wasn't the sinker. It was a slider away, but he has a tendency to pull off this pitch. He gets a lot of hits, like a little rollover infield hits on balls like this, or he'll squirt one through the left side, but a lot of times it results in a ground ball. That's what Nelson was after. Starlin's at his best when he's more focused on going up the middle and the other way. That's when he drives the ball. He's got such good eye-hand coordination. He'll get a lot of hits the other way when he pulls off the ball, just because he's able to get the barrel or some bit of the barrel to the ball, make a little bit of contact. Off to a good start in terms of batting average, but hasn't really been driving the ball. And I think if he could, I'm sure John Maley's talked to him about that, but trying to hit the ball the other way a little bit more frequently.
One and one on Coghlan. Now 1-2. Iowa Cubs are hosting Oklahoma City, Dodgers top affiliate. And Javier Baez has hit his first home run. 7-0 Cubs in the 5th. There's Mendy Alcantara has hit his 3rd since being sent down.
Alcantara got off to a slow start there, like here, but has picked it up lately. Had home runs in each game of a doubleheader a few days ago. Ooh. Get up underneath that mask a little bit.
Pulled to right, Braun on the move, and he will make the basket catch. No, he dropped it. Throw to second, late. He had it after a long run, but he just could not put it away, and that's an error on Braun.
And Braun plays a very deep right field. He had a long way to go. It looked like he was going to be able to make the play. And credit Chris Coghlan for not quitting on the play. Ultimately got there in pretty good shape. You see he's breaking it down a little bit, but can't hang on. Coghlan going hard down the line. Well, you're going good when you induce a meeting. Jason Hamill up there to hit with 2 outs, and Maldonado out to talk to Nelson. How are we going to get this guy out? Put a little wrinkle in it. First offering here, I bet. I lose. So he told them, hey, don't give in. Try to hit the corner. Wait. Nelson has doubled and scored. Hamill's driven in the Cubs' lone run to this point.
Segura gloves, and the inning is over. The 2-out error does not hurt Jimmy Nelson. 3-1 Milwaukee. Bank, the Curious Bank, the iconic Wrigley Field center field scoreboard. Hamill to Maldonado. Hey, by the way, let's keep an eye on the University of Illinois. 36
baseball program, yeah.
6-1. I think they've won 20 in a row. Ranked 7th in the latest USA Today top 25 poll. Castro waving off Coughlin as he makes the catch for the out. One away here in the Milwaukee 5th. Top spot right now belongs to LSU.
At the plate, the pitcher, Jimmy Nelson.
Not a lot of surprises at the top. Top 3, you could probably guess. LSU, UCLA, Texas A&M. Pretty good programs.
No Lemoyne Dolphins in there?
Don't see them.
For D2. How about Marquette? Do they play baseball at Marquette?
They do not play Division I. No. It's a club sport.
It's like maybe some well-heeled alums could get together and make that happen. Somebody with some clout, like a big league broadcaster, maybe.
Nelson with a double and a go-ahead run in the 3rd. Strike 3 called. The Illini won today. That's 21 in a row. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN.
Center fielder, Carlos Gomez.
Brewers trying to win their 2nd in a row for the first time this season. Leading 3-1 here in the 5th.
Gomez off the DL yesterday. Made a sudden impact. RBI single, stole a couple of bases and scored.
Fly to left. Coughlin hauls it in, and that's the inning. Jorge Soler will bat 3rd in the bottom of this 5th inning. Cubs trail by 2. $9 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Subway, eat fresh. Message and data rates may apply.
Yeah, I saw a Subway commercial the other day. The Jared guy. And I think he said he's been doing this for 15, 16 years now. Has that been?
Sounds right. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Pretty successful campaign, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
A strike to Addison Russell. Got a note from Tommy on Twitter as well. We can't forget the University of Iowa program as well. Ranked in the top 15. Good year for the Big Ten. Russell down 0-2. Make it 0-3. Stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch. It's brought to you by Budweiser. Still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Most accurate kicker in Chicago Bears history, Robbie Gould. Strikeout number 3 for Nelson today as he backs Fowler off the plate. Dexter, pretty good homestand, 8 out of 21, but most of that damage done in the Pirates series as he bunts, and it's a good one, and he's going to reach. You know, it's a good bunt when nobody even touches the ball before he passes the bag.
Cannot do it any better than that. Beautiful bunt. That's an instructional video right there. Put it in your pocket.
And the wind's blowing out, and all of a sudden the tying run at the plate.
Nope.
Oh, he's leaning, but not a good throw by Nelson. It was high.
It's the job one for that leadoff man. Yeah, you love the speed, you love the stolen bases, but the priority, get on base, set that table. Dexter, it's time to set the table. Big boys want to eat.
Oh. Swing and a miss.
Big boy took a pretty ferocious swing. Catchers beware. Stay back. You lean into that backswing, you're going to be out a while.
Cheese. Long pause by Nelson. Out of the plate, and Soler able to check his swing.
What Soler did there, he held his bat a good long while to say, see, this is as far as it went. It didn't go any further, and I'm not going to pull it back.
Rizzo next. Ball and 2 strikes on Soler. The lead by Fowler. That's
been
up
on
to
a
date.
nice roll, and they've run in some good pitching here lately. I think back to this most recent run, Garrett Cole was really good in his start. Fires yesterday, outstanding.
Peralta in a loss. Very good. This ball might stay fair with the wind. Nope.
It's a chicken and egg thing, right? As it is. The bat's gone cold, or having bad at bats, or just running into good pitching. And it's usually a combination of both. If you're Joe Madden, you have that debate with yourself. What do I do? Do I force the action? Do I try to run a little bit to create offense? And in so doing, I take a risk of making outs on the bases on a day when the wind is blowing out at Wrigley Field. He's got his charts that he keeps with all the numbers, the likely outcomes, pitcher versus hitter, whether a guy hits the ball on the ground a lot, if there's a ground ball pitcher on the mound, a lot of times that's what dictates whether he's going to start a base runner. Suspect with a guy like Fowler, it's not so much giving him a sign to run, but he's got the green light, and sometimes they may take it off, saying we don't want you running in this situation. But otherwise, if you feel comfortable, go.
He is going, and the ball is bounded foul.
I think that's kind of universal around baseball now. It used to be, back in the day, that you had the steal sign. You were supposed to go on that pitch. Now it's more like we want you to try to steal a bag here. Pick a pitch in the sequence. When you get comfortable out there, let's try to steal a base. Sometimes the guy just never feels comfortable, and then that conversation happens after the inning. How come he didn't go? Couldn't get a jump. Didn't feel good about it. Hit and run, obviously a different animal. That's when you got to go.
Is not running. Another ball hit foul.
Yeah, it was a hittable breaking ball there. Backed up a little bit on Nelson. Stayed right there in the happy zone. He got away with it. So they're pulling off a little bit and just rolling that top hand instead of driving through it.
Fowler runs, pitches low and outside, throw is high. So after all that work Nelson did to keep Fowler close, he steals the bag relatively easily. That's his 7th.
They end up picking a good pitch, a breaking ball that was wide, so Maldonado had to do a little work just to get into a good throwing position. You see the break.
And I think he got some dirt in his eyes as the helmet went flying. And a swing and a miss. Ball gets by. Fowler on his way to third as the throw goes to first to complete the out of Soler. So runner at third, 2 away.
They started well for Soler, ringing double to right center first time up, couple of strikeouts since.
Wild pitch charged to Nelson, allowing Fowler to get to third. Gomez now will drift back, still going back, and he can't make the play. Fowler scores. Rizzo on his way to third. And he's in with a triple. Well, Gomez acted like that was going to be routine. Then he reacted like it might be a home run. He won a Gold Glove 2 years ago, but kind of misjudged the wind here a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, towering fly ball off the bat. You thought it was going to be a routine. When you see that trajectory off the bat, you think routine out. But Rizzo stronger than most. Wind helping for sure. That's a play Gomez normally would make. That ball was in the air a long time. He's kind of drifting, measuring his steps, finds the wall. He had at least probably one more step to take before he left his feet.
So it's a 3-2 ball game. Here's Bryant with a runner at third, strike one. The benefits of playing outfield in this ballpark is the outfield's not that big. This could drop down. Herrera's out. And he dropped it. Bryant on his way to second, and he's in as Rizzo scores. Should be a double. 3-3.
Angels in the outfield for the Cubs here this afternoon. Braun dropped the Coughlin ball. This is not an easy chance at all for Herrera. He might have had time to get out and get around that ball, position himself a little better. Not an easy chance.
Rick Kranitz out to kind of calm things down with the battery. Probably telling Nelson, you made your pitch. So Bryant picks up his 11th RBI. Same for Rizzo on the triple.
Fowler got it started with that bunt single. Rizzo's ball certainly could have been caught. I don't know if you could argue that it should have been caught, and likewise with Herrera. So tough luck for Nelson here in the fifth. Montero probably had the best at-bats of anybody for the Cubs yesterday, standing in there 1-for-1 plus a walk today.
Driven out into deep center. Gomez makes this catch. What a play by Gomez. So we've seen some bobbles, some drops, but Segura with a great play earlier. Gomez here saves a run. The Cubs, however, have tied it.
Subway, eat fresh. Message and data rates may apply. Watching this commercial the other day, that Jared guy. He's been on there for a long time now, hasn't he?
15 years.
Phil? Is that you, Phil?
I got you, babe. Segura on the right field line and into the Brewers bullpen. 3-3 here in the 6th inning.
Had a good ball game. New life for Jason Hamill now. It's been a tough go for him here. He's not getting lit up, but he hasn't been sharp. He got a chance to win a game. It's a very important inning as the middle of the order gets their third look at him.
Soler and right retires Segura.
At the plate, the right fielder, Ryan Braun.
There you go.
Ned the head.
It's the extent of our inside jokes. If you've been watching, you'd have got it. Here's Braun. Back to baseball. Here's a 1-0. It's a strike. I love live television. Hamill's 1-1 is fouled into the upper deck.
Ryan Braun will not be able to complain that Jason Hamill didn't give him some pitches to hit today. He's pitched him pretty aggressively. Pop up to third, fly ball to center for Braun so far today.
And to Rizzo. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated, game used, and autographed Cubs memorabilia. Visit Cubs.com/authentics for more information and to bid on weekly auction items, including game used baseballs, jerseys, bases, and much more. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics items to Cubs charities. Lind fouls. Wednesday hit his 150th career home run. A double, a run, and 2 trips today. First base has been real problem area offensively in terms of production for this Brewers club since Prince Fielder moved on.
Yeah, they've tried a lot of different guys there. The heir apparent for a time there was going to be Matt Gamble, and then he had a bunch of injury problems, never did pan out.
A couple of years ago they used a bunch of non-first basemen to play that position. Called strike 3. Back-to-back 1-2-3 innings for Hamill, and a 3-3 tie in the 6th.
off here at 3. Ramirez with the solo home run for the Brewers. Jimmy Nelson still working for Milwaukee. Rizzo, RBI triple. Jason Hamill has been solid. Honda Dream Garage sales event now at your Honda dealer.
Pitch count's in pretty good shape. Hamill 79 pitches through 6. Nelson throwing his 85th of the afternoon. Ball 1 to Starlin Castro. Cloud cover has really taken over now on this warm afternoon as Castro pops it up off of third. It's Ramirez. Ross Cup getting loose. The pitcher spot due up after Chris Coghlan. I think Joe just wanted to have some options, depending on if the Cubs could rally here.
Had a little something going. Probably would have hit for Hamill. If not, Jason will have to stay in the ball game.
Missed outside ball 1. Chris Bosio chatting with Lester Strode in the bullpen. How do we know? Because that's where it's connected. It's not like line 2. You can call somebody else from the dugout.
Every now and then you hear a story about how the lines got crossed somehow, and you can pick up the phone and you get the other team's bullpen. Get so-and-so up. Sit him down. Get him up.
Lester answers the phone in the bullpen. What do you want?
Hey, I wanted to buy 4 tickets to the game a week from Monday. I've got my credit card. Hold, please. I think I seem to recall sitting in Lou Pinella's office when he was here, and somebody kind of cold called, asked for Lou, and they put it through. He picked it up.
This is Lou.
Is this Lou Piniella? Here's what you're doing wrong with your lineup. Herrera makes the catch.
Get a behind-the-scenes look at beautiful Wrigley Field. The Cubs offer 90-minute guided tours that include a chance to pick up the bullpen phone. Actually, it includes a chance to step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. Visit Cubs.com/tours for information.
No, I remember what it was. I think somebody wrote him a letter, was very critical, and gave him his home phone number, so Lou called him. Oh, that's what I think it was. They had a spirited conversation. Bounce towards center, but Segura will field from behind second, and we will go to the 7th. Robbie Gold from the Bears will join us. 3-3.
Fans, direct your attention to the video board for some plays 3.
CHN. Replacements, a couple of sold-out shows at the Rib earlier this week. That's left of the dial. And we've got the most accurate field goal kicker in Bears history with us, and appropriate that it's a 3-3 tie going into the 7th. Robbie Gould is with us. Hi, Robbie.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Great.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Have you been glued to the television all weekend with the draft, or do you just kind of look and say, who did we pick?
Well, usually you're connected with it a lot more than you are this week. This week, having the draft in Chicago, which is pretty special for the city to have. They did a great job. The fans were out. It was unbelievable. So I spent a lot of time down at Draft Town as opposed to watching it on TV.
And so you're texting your teammates, you're going to hope we get so-and-so, or...
You know what? As long as they don't draft a kicker, you're okay, kind of thing, you know?
I knew that was coming. Yeah.
But, you know, there's only one guy that can make it a kicker. You can have 3 or 4 running backs on every team, or quarterbacks or what have you. So I thought we did a great job. I met Kevin White the other day. He's a big body, sure-handed receiver, which is going to help us a lot. And we got a great running back in Langford to help us out a little bit. And excited to see those young guys in action.
2-2 on Aramis Ramirez. Chris Davis on deck. Cubs coming back with a couple in the 5th to tie it up.
So here's my question.
Foul.
Trying to find a parallel between baseball and your job. Short reliever kind of comes to mind, that, you know, high pressure situation, that especially, you know, a game winning kick. So I've talked to a lot of guys, and people talk about relief pitchers having ice water in their veins, really cool. But I've talked to a lot of closers, Dennis Eckersley among them, would say, no, I was scared to death, man. I just found a way to get through it. What you know, as a place kicker, game on the line, is it ice water in the veins, or is it kind of just trying to slow that heart?
I love it. You know, you think about all the greatest athletes that ever play any sport. They never didn't want the ball at the end of the game. So for me, when it comes down to it, I always have fun. I'm looking to have a good time, and I want to go out there and obviously do my job. But if you're not having fun, you're probably going to have a lot more misses than makes.
I would have panic attacks.
I can teach you. We'll make it work.
Here's the 3-2 ball 4. He walked him. So I think it was the Falcons and the Lions in London last year.
Yep.
Field goal was missed, but the Falcons had asked for timeout, kind of freezing the kicker, and then, of course, he makes it, right? Oh. Do you feel like that affects the kicker when the other coach calls timeout?
You know what? Some guys don't like it. I actually like it. I prefer that they do it because it gives you a chance to see the wind patterns. It gives you an opportunity to see what's going on.
So pitching change, more coming with Robbie Gould as Zach Ross Cup is on. Nice hand for Hamill. He's been really good. And he comes in with a man at first and nobody out.
Yeah, glittering numbers so far here for Ross Cup with that 1.04 ERA, a whip of .46, just 1 walk and 3 hits allowed. Joe Maddon likes his stuff against right-handed hitters. Elevated fastball is a tough pitch for them to get on.
There we go. Swing and a miss. We're with Robbie Gould. Got to ask an expert. Feels like they're trying to mess with the kicking game with extra points, kickoffs, all that stuff. If you were the commissioner, what would you do regarding both?
Just leave it alone. I mean, quarterbacks are throwing for 5,000 yards every year. You're not going to take away the play action pass. I mean, just because they're having success at throwing the football and it's fun and it's exciting, I get it, but there's also the history part of football that I really enjoy, and not just to my position, just to other positions. And you know, I think it's something that should stay the way it is, but we don't have a whole lot of say in those kind of conversations, which is fine. So you go out there and get ready to make a 33-yard field goal instead of an extra point.
Yeah, foot is in the actual sport's name, so I think keeping the kicking game intact is important.
So are they talking about moving back the extra point?
This year it's going to be from the 15-yard line. So they tried to do that in the first 2 preseason games last year, and there's a very high success rate with makes as well from there. So does it make a lot of difference? Probably not. I think they're trying to make the game a little more exciting, possibly with moving it the 2-point conversion up to the 1-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Davis strikes out. Now Herrera will hit right-handed. How about your new coach?
Awesome. What a great guy. You know, brings back a lot of memories of Lovey, defensive-minded players coach. Is very similar to Coach Madden. I was here a couple weeks ago and watching him, and he was giving everyone a high five and talking to the pitchers when they go up to hit. I don't know what they're telling them. It's like telling a kicker how to do his job, I guess, but at times. But it is great to see not only that in the Cubs dugout, but also having that in our locker room as well. So I think we're having a great year. It's going to be fun. There's a lot of good energy, a lot of good enthusiasm. We've got a great coaching staff, and they made some good moves in the offseason to help balance out some holes we needed to fill from free agency, and it's an exciting year for us for sure.
1-1 on Herrera.
Charity golf tournament coming up?
Yeah, June 22nd. It's a Monday. So we're pretty excited about that because it's our largest event for the Golden Touch, and not only do we get some old baseball players and Olympians and some 85 Bears come out and play, and some guys that are on the team now, but we raise money for Lurie Children's Hospital, and Walmart's our title sponsor, and it's been a great partnership this year. We need like 3 more groups to fill it out, and we'll have 36, which is pretty amazing, and got a great group of celebrities coming and looking to have some fun and raise some money.
Yeah, the Golden Touch with the U.
That's right, with the U.
That's caught by Soler.
So is there a website people can go to find out about the tournament?
GoldenTouch.org. Yep.
And I'm assuming you got a good game.
It's okay.
I'm thinking kicker, target sport. I mean, you probably.
It's very similar. Yeah. So you get a chance to enjoy it a lot more than normal. So.
Well, you've been one of our favorite guests, and we're going to get you ready to sing. Thanks for stopping by, Robbie. Enjoy the rest of your offseason.
Thanks,
have a great year.
Appreciate it.
Robbie
Thanks
Gould,
for having me.
Bears kicker. So we look forward to a fun 2015 Bears season. 2 outs in the inning. Here's Maldonado, the catcher. Ramirez walked to start the inning. He's still at first now with 2 outs. Jason Rogers is in the on-deck circle in the pitcher's spot for Nelson.
Yeah, I think perhaps if Ramirez had gotten into scoring position, Ron Renicky might have used a pinch runner. And if the Brewers were down, maybe, but tie ball game, wind blowing out a little bit, it's always dicey to take a bat like Ramirez out of the lineup.
Fowler coming over, and he makes the catch, and it's time now for the stretch. It's brought to you by Budweiser. Here's Robbie Gould.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Bears kicker Robbie Gould.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs. Go Cubs!
To be a Cub for life. Receive a customized photo of the Wrigley Field marquee, a Cubs birth certificate, baby stocking cap, and a Rookie of the Year onesie. Visit Cubs.com/kids today. Nelson continuing on as his spot did not come up. And a swing and a miss by Addison Russell. Oh, 2.
He's just not recognizing that breaking ball at all out of the hand of Nelson. Hard slider at 87. He's not seeing him very well. I'm going to throw another one. Solid effort from Nelson so far here this afternoon.
Strike 3 got him looking for the second time today.
Got him thinking about the slider and came with a 93-mile-an-hour sinker. Maldonado didn't do a real nice job of catching it, but knee high over the plate, and they got the call.
Pedro Strop.
The Nationals back-to-back 1-0 wins over the Mets yesterday and today.
So they're within 2 of 500 now.
Gio Gonzalez yesterday and Doug Fister today. I want to say that's like 31 of 37 for the Nationals at Citi Field.
That National League East is still a division. I have no idea what's going to happen. Are the Mets for real? Miami and Washington off to bad starts, but they're back around 500. Atlanta got off to that great start, and they're under 500.
Well, it looks like the Nationals pitching is starting to assert itself, and its rotation is so deep and talented.
Back-to-back Ks of the looking variety to start this bottom of the 7th.
That curveball that Nelson has come up with, and it's proven to be a very effective weapon for him. If he'll pitch beyond this inning, highly unlikely, but he's finishing with a flourish.
The last 63 Cub plate appearances, 24 have resulted in strikeouts over these last 2 days. And we knew this team was probably going to strike out a lot, but as you mentioned earlier, if you sprinkle in walks and some power with it, you can definitely live with it. Hit hard on the ground into center for a base hit.
Probably force Ron Renicki to make a move here, bring the left-hander in to face Rizzo.
It will be lefty versus lefty. Will Smith coming on. 3-3 in the bottom of the 7th.
Promised you only one a week. The Cubs suggest the use of public transportation. If you're a bike rider, use the Cubs courtesy bike check. That's located near Clark and Addison. And if you prefer to drive, the Cubs provide free parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. That's from 3900 North Rockwell. For details, visit Cubs.com. Fresh Prince on for the second time in this series. ERA 2.16. Works for the 12th time. Left-handed batters hitting .231 against them, 3 out of 13. He's actually yet to allow a base hit to a right-handed hitter this year.
We got Rizzo yesterday on a pop-up to the shortstop. Faced 3 batters, got them all, including a strikeout of Chris Bryant. 2 outs, Soler at first, 7th inning in a 3-3 tie.
So here's the wrestling match. Smith's going to try to stay away from Rizzo's power. Out for that outside corner with a fastball. Obviously some sliders off that outside edge. Rizzo's job is to lay off and force him into the zone. Bigger breaking ball there, the curve. Didn't have to be. So here's something worth studying for all the people that really break down the numbers and look at all the heat maps and pitcher tendencies and things of that nature. Are more borderline outside pitches called on a guy like Rizzo than somebody who's off the plate, because of the proximity of the pitch to the batter doesn't look as severe.
Well, that one he didn't get. Be a pitch you would think, based on your theory. That might get called as a pitcher, but he didn't.
The down nature of that one.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's at number 2, that one, that kind of piqued my curiosity. Breaking ball or fastball just off the edge. Because it'd be hard not to be influenced by that if you're an umpire, right? You just get so used to that batter plate catcher relationship as you're sitting back there. And that's off the plate, but it's still pretty close to the hitter.
You're on to something. Lind going in Soler's back pocket as he'll take off here with the 2 outs and a 3-2 count. And he chased a bad one. And that will end the inning. Pedro Strop will try to keep this game tied when we continue. 3-3. Live Sports. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. New pitcher, new batter. Pedro Strop to pinch hitter Gerardo Parra, ball 1. That's it for Smith. He came on, did his job, struck out Rizzo, and lifted for the pinch batter. Appearance number 13 for Strop.
Yeah, just allowed almost nothing. 0.39 whip, walks plus hits per innings pitched. Quite a roll here. It's 3 up, 3 down. Very little drama with Strop on the mound, even though he pitches in high leverage situations.
That ball's going to get down. Coghlan will pick it up on the warning track. Parra leading off the inning with a double. Brewers threatening here late.
And now there is drama. Leadoff double. Strop has to deal with. Parra, he's got that short stroke. He's a good guy to have come off the bench when you're dealing with late inning guys with plus velocity.
Next up
with a short stroke who doesn't overswing. Pretty good fit. Parra's a very valuable player. Tremendous defensive player.
The top of the order now, starting with Carlos Gomez. 1 for 3 today. Second game back from the disabled list. And he bunts. Strop.
No.
Not going to get him. He wanted to throw to third, but Bryant was going after the ball. So everybody's safe on a base hit.
Yeah, you just have to be able to read that ball off the bat and realize that you're not going to have a play at third base. And if you hesitate at all, you're not going to have a play at first base. This is a good bunt. I'm sure Montero was yelling 1-1-1-1-1, but pitchers tend to get gritty in that situation. They want to nail that lead runner.
Here comes Joe Madden to the mound. Not going to take him out. Nobody warming up. We'll talk some strategy here. I think one of the questions here, JD, is do you play for a double play to try to limit a big inning, give up the go-ahead run, or do you play the infield in with nobody out and risk a possible big inning to try to keep the game tight?
Yeah, well, I think, what I'd be tempted to do is kind of hedge my bets and maybe play my infield halfway, thinking that perhaps with no outs, Parra's not going on contact here. So you make him read the ball off the bat, make him read the situation. If it's a sharply hit ball, you could get to, and he might not even score. And that's highly unlikely.
So the corner guys are in. Looks like they are going to play double play depth up the middle. And the pitch, Segura fouls. I mean, ideally, you get Strop to strike him out. Not even have Segura put a ball in play, and then that changes things. You get that first out.
Yeah, it's definitely unconventional to do anything to concede a run in a tie game this late in the ball game.
Oh, he got hit in the helmet as he squared the bunt. Oh, man. Here comes Ron Renicky and trainers from both teams. Very quiet scene right now. Strop very distraught. So we think the pitch actually got all helmet right off the logo above the bill.
Yeah, I mean, not that that's not scary enough, but I thought that was a direct blow to the face. You see it here. Just a chasing fastball, and he ducks the head, and the helmet does its job. And this is a kid that got hit by the Ryan Braun bat in the dugout last year in Milwaukee with a practice swing, a weighted bat. He's had more than his fair share.
Big hand from the crowd as Segura's on his feet. And he had no place to go.
This just locks everybody up, as you would expect.
I cannot imagine that he's going to stay in the game. He's there doing some tests here, but Mike Fiers last year threw the pitch that ended Giancarlo Stanton's season. JD, I don't know if you ever had one get away from you and had something like that happen, but that's jarring for a pitcher.
Yeah, in college. In college, I had a guy right in the forehead, and he had glasses, and the glasses split right in half. That is, yeah, that's very unsettling. Well, it looks like he is going to stay in this ball game. Here's the Fiers pitch to Giancarlo Stanton, and you see the reaction from Fiers. That's what I was afraid of.
Very similar.
Yeah,
very similar in
on the face.
The reaction of the batter. I am amazed Gene Segura is staying in this game. So the bases are loaded.
Yeah, and now Strop has to clear his mind after that and try to make quality pitches to Ryan Braun, of all people.
At the plate for the Brewers, right fielder, Ryan Braun.
Just an aside, I believe Stanton, was that called a strike? Didn't they say he was swinging at that pitch? I think they did.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the bases are loaded. The infield is in. Thank goodness Gene Segura is okay. And not only is he okay, he has stayed in the game.
See, and this is a situation where you have to pitch Ryan Braun inside, but that's easier said than done. Now Segura's going to come off the field. He's maybe experiencing some dizziness or something.
Precaution has to prevail here, and it is going to. And we will get a pinch runner, Hector Gomez.
Ladies and gentlemen, pinch running at first base for the Brewers, number 5, Hector Gomez.
The pitch. Strike call. Well, Segura did square to bunt. I don't know if there was any appeal to see if he pulled the bat back in time. As we mentioned,
I didn't even think to look for that.
No, I didn't either. Bounce to third. Bryant throws to the plate. They get one. Throw to first. Out. 5-2-3. A double play.
How about that? Bases loaded, nobody out. Most dangerous man in the order. Strop, after hitting Segura in the head, does make quality pitches. Ryan immediately comes home, and then Montero steps out and throws a bullet to first base. You got to be thinking ahead if you're an infielder in that situation. What am I going to do with the ball? No hesitation from Bryant.
They will intentionally walk Lind. It'll be a Ramos Ramirez with the bases loaded. This has been a wild ninth inning. Double, bunt single. Segura got hit to load him, then a 5-2-3 double play. Lynn now the intentional walk, and Strop will face Ramirez. Take one more look here. So Segura squares. I guess my answer on whether he offered at it, I don't think he did. I mean, the bat is held out, but I don't think he ever stabbed at it.
I don't think he would win that argument if you tried to press your case that he tried to bunt that ball. This guy's been pretty good with the bases loaded in his career.
He has homered today after missing the last 2 games with some hamstring tightness. 1 ball, no strikes.
It's rather ironic that we started this inning talking about the lack of drama when Strop is on the mound. And nothing but drama here this inning.
And that will drop, and they're going to get a couple. Aramis Ramirez drives in 2, throw to third late. It's 5-3 Milwaukee. Cub fans remember all the big hits he came up with in his tenure here, and a few were against the Brewers, but he does it against his former team.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pitch by Strop. He got in there with that fastball in on his hands. Weak contact, but well placed contact for Ramirez.
Ramirez credited with a single and then took second on the throw to third. And a strike on Chris Davis. Ball, 1 strike. I said the 9th inning, the 8th inning. As the Brewers have grabbed the 2-run lead. And fouled upstairs. Swing and a miss. But finally end a crazy 8th inning. It's 5-3 Brewers. Hector Gomez, after running for Segura, plays short. Here's big Jonathan Broxton.
Big fella on for the 11th time. 5.59 the ERA.
Swing and a miss by Chris Bryant. Bottom of the 8th, 5-3 Milwaukee. Wide for ball 1, 1-1. Left-hander Phil Koch up in the home bullpen.
Good carry on that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. A lot of backspin and late life on a riding heater.
Bryant was late, no doubt. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 1 away. So you mentioned one got away from you in college?
Yes.
So what happened?
Hit him on the forehead and split his glasses. He went down in a heap on home plate. He was down for a good long while. Ultimately, he was able to get up, and there was no long-lasting effects. It stuck in my mind. I remembered it. Yeah. I was able to pitch okay after that.
Montero takes the pitch low. Ball 1.
Obviously, you have to pitch inside to be effective, especially at this level. Some guys are able to use it as intimidation, fear the real hard throwers. There are all the stories about Don Drysdale. But there's a responsibility that comes along with it. Drysdale used to say you throw the first pitch inside to let a hitter know you're there to kind of shake his confidence a little bit, and then you throw the next one inside just to remind him later on in the ball game that you're willing to do it. And clearly there was no intent on Strobe's part.
Drilled into center for a base hit. Montero is on for the 3rd time.
Yeah, boy, he's been really good here of late. Hit the ball hard last time on lining out to center field. That's the only time they got him today. I think it's tougher now, too, in the modern game. When you talk about that Drysdale era, I think hitters of that era gave up the outside part of the plate, a lot of them. The guys didn't dive to cover that pitch, so you didn't have to pitch inside as much back then.
One strike on Castro. The Cubs rally here. Rondon in the 9th. Fielder Billy McKinney with the High A Myrtle Beach Pelicans. 2 homers today. Tyler Skulina, excellent start. 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs. And he got him on some high heat at 97. Vintage Jonathan Broxton right there.
Yeah. Up to his old tricks with that exploding fastball. In recent seasons, the velocity's been down a little bit compared to what he did back with the Dodgers a few years ago. Showing it pretty good here the other night in game 1 of the series. Will Smith is the pitcher of record for the Brewers. Faced 1 batter, struck out Rizzo. He would get the win if the Brewers don't give up the lead.
To Coughlin. Chris Denorpia on deck for Strop.
Interesting series in St. Louis this weekend. The Cardinals won 2-1 in 10 innings on Friday. 2-1 in 11 innings yesterday. It's 1-1 top of the 9th today.
Some guy named Matt will probably come up big. Adams Friday and Carpenter yesterday.
I guess it'd be Holiday. Holiday in the 12th today, I guess, would be the guy.
Two balls and a strike.
Lance Worley pitched good for Pittsburgh today. 6 innings of 1-run ball. Michael Wacha 6 2/3 of scoreless baseball.
It evens it at 2-2. Cubs went 1-1 against St. Louis to start the season. Cardinals off to their best 23-game start since 1944. In the left, Parra leaves his feet and makes the grab to end the inning. He just came in for defense, and he's a really good outfielder. Won a couple of Gold Gloves, in fact. 5-3. couple of runs in the 8th inning. Big day for Aramis Ramirez and his only action of this series. And Phil Koch will work with his team trailing by 2.
Koch worked 2/3 of an inning in the ball game yesterday. Didn't allow any hits or runs. Had a strikeouts. Chip away at that 675 earned run average.
Second baseman Herrera is 1 for 3 and caught stealing in the 4th. Kick and the 0-1 pitch is a swing and a miss for strike 2. I don't know about you, but I feel like the tone of everything is completely different after the hit batter. And again, Segura actually walked to first before being lifted for a pinch runner. That's the kind of scene that really makes you sick to your stomach.
Because that's something that's always in the back of a hitter's mind. It's, the idea that you might get hit in the head with a fastball. They do a pretty good job of pushing it way to the back most of the time. But when you see it happen, it kind of moves to the front of your mind, not just for the batters, but for everybody in the ballpark. It's a scary thing to witness.
1-2. Maldonado next. And Parra just made a nice diving grab to end the 8th. Here it comes. Outside, ball 2. 2-2.
Yeah, the NBA has a 6-man award, right?
Yep.
So if baseball had a utility man award, Parra would be a guy likely be nominated.
Line foul.
Utility in the sense that he plays a lot of different positions, but a 4th outfielder who's one of the best defensive outfielders in all of baseball, and a good guy off the bench, and a guy that if you had an injury to one of your mainstays could go out and hold his own out there as an everyday player for a while. He did it for a good long while in Arizona. Just doesn't have the power you'd like from a corner outfielder.
Base hit left center. Coughlin will pick it up and keep Herrera to a single. Brewers starting to see some signs of life with their offense that had largely struggled through the first month. They got 6 runs yesterday and they put up a 5 spot today.
Put a lot of pressure on the Cubs today. It's the 3rd consecutive inning the leadoff man has reached.
So the Orioles were the home team, had that series moved against the Rays down to the Trop, and they did win 2 out of 3. 4-2 final today.
Yeah, it's good. Not that I have a rooting interest, but good to see them go down there and have success. Because I hate to see the the schedule, integrity of the schedule affected adversely because of that.
Adam Jones went 4 for 4. He's hitting .402. That'll do a number on the splits because you have home road, but then you have ballpark splits.
Yeah, their home splits will be different than their Camden Yards.
But they batted last in those games, considered to be home dates for the Orioles. Bryant had to back up a little bit. They'll get one as Russell stayed on the bag, barely. One away. Fielder's choice for Maldonado.
Hang on
fielder, number 28.
by a big toe to get the force. Julio Teheran 6 shutout innings for Atlanta. Beat Johnny Cueto and the Reds 5-zip.
Parra has made his mark on this game, even though he just entered it in the 8th inning. Leadoff double. And then the diving grab on defense. Might it be a 2-horse race in the AL Central all year? Detroit leapfrogging over Kansas City into first place with a 6-4 win at Kauffman Stadium. Anibal Sanchez got the win. Former Royal Joaquin Soria with his 10th save. 6-4 the final. Rodriguez in a save spot. Blazek if Brewers add a few insurance runs.
Astros gave up 4 to Seattle in the top of the 7th to give up their lead, and then scored 1 in the bottom of the 8th and ultimately won 7-6. So it's 10 in a row for them now?
10 straight.
And on a roll like that, you come to the ballpark every day expecting good things to happen.
Still 2-2 to Parra. Going to extras once again in St. Louis. Coke throws it away. And Maldonado will stop at second. An error on Coke.
It's not catchy, is it?
He had a snap toss the other day. They just quickly stepped off the back of the rubber and hit the target. But as you can see, Maldonado was standing on the bag when the ball got there.
Completely unaware of what was happening behind him.
got him. Swing and a miss, 4 strike 3. 2 in the books, and here comes Joe with Carlos Gomez due. Wants a right-hander, German. Gonzalez German coming on when we come back. Still brewed the hard way. This bug's for you. Honda Dream Garage Sales Event. Now it's your Honda dealer. Napa, home of Napa know-how. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Subway, make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Right on cue, Gonzalez German, and a one hopper off the bat of Gomez. One pitch, third out of the inning. Last chance now for the Cubs. Pinch hitter Russell Fowler due up when we come back. 60 games in a single season. Francisco Rodriguez, 62 saves for the Angels in 2008. He had 44 last year. 351 in his career. That puts him in the top 10. He's trying to go 4 for 4 to start this season.
Yeah, has not had many chances because the Brewers haven't been winning many ball games. He came in and finished the Cubs off yesterday in a non-save situation. Racked up 3 strikeouts in the 9th. Doesn't do it with power like he did when he was a kid. It's deception, finesse, an outstanding changeup.
Facing pinch hitter Chris Denorfia to start the inning, and he's way out front. We mentioned yesterday, re-signed with Milwaukee late in the offseason, late February, to a 2-year contract. Bounce towards center and a base hit. Denorfia is on to start the 9th. Only down 2, so that'll bring the tying run to the plate. And Addison Russell.
So 1 out of 3 today. Single first time up with a flare to right, and then Cott looking each of his next 2 at bats. Rodriguez doing a double take, thought he got the outside corner, and this is all about just controlling the emotions for a young player like Addison Russell. 9th inning, down 2. It's an experienced closer with a glittering resume. You just got to keep things under control. Jumped at that one a little bit. And it's the changeup. Joe Maddon's talked a lot about his young players not wanting to give them too much information. You could go over an in-depth scouting report on K-Rod. He likes to throw this in this count, but his fastball is going to move this way. And in all likelihood, it was probably more like, just take middle of the way. Throws a lot of off-speed stuff. Trust your hands to get to a fastball if he comes in.
One ball, 2 strikes. Denorfia at first. Nobody out here in the 9th. The kick and the pitch outside.
The MO of a guy like Rodriguez, he's going to throw as few fastballs in the strike zone as possible. The fastball is the tease pitch. He'll try to get you out with the changeup or something soft. Unless he's fully convinced that you're just sitting on an off-speed pitch.
Line and caught by Ramirez.
That's just bad luck there for Russell. He did stay back on the changeup, hit it hard, but unfortunately Ramirez there to make a play on him. That was not in the script. It was supposed to be a double into the left field corner.
Dexter Fowler, 1 for 4, 1 for 5 against K-Rod. We can still legitimately call him K-Rod. Still averages over a strikeout per inning. 10.8 punch outs per 9 in his career. if you like. You could just call him Frankie.
The Frankie floater right there apparently caught the outside corner. He held left-handed batters to a 175 batting average last year.
Two to Fowler. Rodriguez, 33 years old, from Caracas, Venezuela.
The fastball is really his change of pace when you think about it, because you're kind of geared up for the slow stuff.
Just got out of the way.
Cutter there. Now, the one thing, if you're a Cub fan, that gives you hope when you look at the numbers on Rodriguez, he allowed 14 home runs last year. And 68 innings of work. That's a lot of long balls for a late inning reliever.
Career high, 14 allowed. Given up one so far this season. This is his 9th inning of work. Swing and a miss for out number 2.
More than one way to get this job done. You know, Hector Rondon comes out of that bullpen throwing pellets at 98 miles an hour. Rodriguez, like a Houston Street type guy. Trevor Hoffman, of course, had all that success with his changeup.
Yeah, he's had to adapt. Overshadowed certainly in the American League all those years by Mariano Rivera, but he was dominating the middle part of the last decade with those Angels. Led the league 3 out of 4 years. From 05 to 08, runner goes and Soler swings and misses. No steal for Denorfia with his team down a couple. Last chance here, 2 outs, 9th inning, trailing 5-3.
If you're going to give it to you, you might as well take it. Take that force option away from them.
Will Soler see a fastball in this at bat? He hasn't yet. 0-2. Lined and caught by Ramirez to end the ball game. Couple of hard hit balls in this inning for outs to third. Ramirez with the game-winning hit in the 8th, and the Brewers win their first series of the season. 5-3 Milwaukee, the final. We'll be back.